So we're at this property that we won at foreclosure auction, I think a year and a half ago. And unfortunately, this one thing was occupied and it was a battle to get the people out. We tried working with them at first. Kevin always does his thing and they just did not want to leave. So we had to go through the court process. By the time we finally got them out, we had 15 projects or so that were in progress that it was made more sense to do something different here. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what we did here differently than our normal flips. As always, guys, we're two guys take on real estate. We bought hundreds and hundreds of property at foreclosure auction. We own a bunch of rental properties, commercial, residential. We even have a car wash. I know we're a little crazy. You know, we try to teach you from our mistakes, and boy, have we made a lot of mistakes along the way. So we kind of teach you so you don't make the same ones. If you have any questions about anything I talk about or anything in general and why, Kevin's kind of crazy looking and I'm a little ruggedly handsome, then, leave a comment below and we'll happily, answer them as best we can. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe because we're coming out with new videos every week. All right, we are in the property right now. So this one right here, like I said, the people, it took quite a while for them to get out. And while we were doing that, we had closed on a few other properties. We had, basically, we're working on so many projects at a time, about 15, I believe. And so we had to make a decision. Does it make sense to have the property sit because we didn't have the resources at the time to start this project? Or what we do is we wholesale. So what does that mean? Wholesale is basically and there's different ways of wholesaling. In this case, we were basically just reselling it to someone to flip out. So we were making a profit we were the middleman essentially. This way, someone else can flip the property, get it all done on their own time. Another typical wholesale deal is where you're often flipping contracts. So this wasn't a flipping contract. We took title, we trashed it out, we got the people out, we made sure the heavy lifting, what scares a lot of people at foreclosure auction buying, basically occupied properties, and how the heck do you get them out? Which everyone should be very scared about that. If you haven't checked out yet, check our book, Foreclosures Unlocked on Amazon, and you'll understand more why we tell you not to buy properties that are occupied. No. Basically, we do all that, we did that, and when came down to actually during the rehab, we were like, crap. We were already kind of booked up with all this, resources. We had tons of money out there going around fixing all these projects. It just made more sense to kind of basically make a nice little profit still and move it to someone else. So what we did is one of our contractors that we work with consistently, he was looking to start his own flip. He wanted to do one. So we said, great, as long as it doesn't affect our projects that we got, because he had a couple projects with us already, then not a problem. He put together his own team and started. And so we said, sure, we'll flip this one to you or wholesale this to you. And so we made a little profit. We were able to sell to him. Not only that, because he's just getting started, we wanted to work with him. We decided we'd also do a hard money loan for the guy. So basically, we're funding it for him as well. And so that is something, a hard money lender is where someone like ourselves basically has a private loan that then gets recorded on the property, but they're lending their money, typically at higher rates than a bank, and definitely higher rates than a bank, and they make money on that. Typically they're short-term loans, so our loan in this case was only for 12 months, but that gives him enough time, and I think right now we're on month 4, and for him to renovate the property, pop it up on the market, which as you can see, this is very, very close. You can see the counter out here. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this countertop. I was saying personally, not my choice of color, but it does go decently with the tile here and the floor, but not something I would pick. Typically, the other critique I had was I was on my way over here. I'm like, hey, I wanted to check out the property. I wanted to do a video on it, talk to people about what you did here, and I haven't actually checked it out. I like to check out all deals that we're actually lending on. I like to look at what the progress is too, because once again, we have a vested interest to make sure that they get done in a timely fashion. And if they don't, then I'm gonna have to take the property back. I wanna make sure things are moving along. And so when I was on my way here, I'm like, hey, can I stop by there? He's like, oh, sure. But he's like, I won't be there for a while. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go in. What's the lockbox code? Oh, there's no lockbox. I have the key. I'm like, dude. So I'm like, well, it's 2 minutes away. Let me just check. And because more often than not, and I had to give him some critique on this, is that people find there's entry points everywhere. And so basically, I told him right now there's about 9 entry points here. Besides the fact that he only locked the handle knob, and he didn't lock the deadbolts on all the doors. Most of them were, but not all of them. But then there were multiple windows unlocked. Almost the whole second floor was unlocked. Luckily, ninja skills here. I was able to kind of scale up and get in Don't recommend anyone doing that. Obviously, very dangerous. But if you have some ninja skills, you know, there's a possibility. And I had his permission to come into the property. So I basically kind of went through the window, and then I kind of let him know, you got to make sure all the windows are locked, deadbolts are all locked, make sure who last person on the property is always locked, and honestly put a lockbox on the property. We had a lockbox for him. You just had to keep using it. The other few critiques, like things like this, make sure you connect these guys here, put returns on your handles, and then the big thing is also all his doorknobs and stuff like that. He's got the black fixtures, which is kind of in right now, but he did change out the doorknobs, the hinges, just go all back with black. This is what I've been telling him for our flips as well. Make it uniform. It looks really hot. And then the other thing it's gonna just kind of, otherwise it looks great, but like in here, chrome, come on. I think it's like an extra $10 or something like that, just to get the one that's black, same fixture. I think it looks Glacier Bay. I'd even go a little different personally. And then the same thing here. Whoa. Clearly there's air lines up, but change that out to black as well. I mean, you got the black mirror, you got the black lights. It will just look, you got the black toilet paper holder. It just will look, the last little tidbit. And this is what I see often. It's people in the finished details. And even I make these mistakes up. I'm not always checking up on the contractors. It's what we put in our contracts, but sometimes I miss it too on our walkthroughs. So it's something that, just kind of those fine details help sell the property, make it look that much more finished, or even the rental property, make it look all uniform. We like to go with brushed nickel in our rentals. But yep, we painted the radiators. That looks really nice. Still need some closet rods and stuff like that, but they're very close to the finishing touches. The LVP floor came out nice. I would like everyone's opinion on their stairs. I think they're gonna just sand them down and kind of have them that kind of almost like a whitewash look. I don't know, it does go decently with the rest of the stuff. So personally, what I like to do is most of the LVP flooring come with runs and risers, so you can buy the runs and risers. It is a little bit more expensive, but then it flows down nicely and it all matches. So just personal preference I like. It does cost a bit more, but I think it looks really nice at the end there. I think he did a really good job. And as I said, we decided to wholesale this to him, to build up that relationship with my contractor, because now he's all excited. He's making extra money on top of doing our projects. It's creating a nice real synergy between investor and contractor. And we're making a little money on the wholesale. We can keep our other projects moving forward. And then we also make a little money on the hard money loan. So it's kind of a win-win-win situation all around. And this is why I really like kind of finding these other situations, because it's not always about flipping all the stuff and keeping all the profits for yourself. You don't need to be greedy. There's a lot of ways you can work, and really working with your contractors, because they are the ones that really help you get things done. They're the ones when you have issues on a property and you call them up at like midnight, 1 o'clock, or you're an hour and a half away. Hey, I need you to please get to this property. The tenant's calling. So I really recommend that you build those relationships, because that's what's going to really help you and make you have a sustainable business. So if you have any questions about anything we had talked about here or anything else, like I said from the beginning, leave a comment below. Love to hear it. Love to answer some of your questions. And I hope to see you guys on the next video. Thanks so much.